everybody, welcome to the live training stream. I'm Ian Chad, and this is Richard Hinkley.
Hey.
And we're going to be continuing our last week's stream talking about state machines. I guess we're just gonna kind of jump right into this and kind of correct where we were. Richard is going to switch his ears on his mic, because
I just realized that I put it on the camera side, I don't know.
Okay.
Whatever.
Now you just have this wire sticking out the side.
Doesn't matter at all.
Side of your head.
But there you go.
So yeah, we're just gonna go ahead and jump right in, and let's go ahead and undo and do and.
Yeah. So last time we looked at this piece of code, and we both eyed it and said this piece of code looks very suspicious.
Yeah, I think actually everybody in the chat did too.
Yeah. I don't know if they did, but did they?
They did.
They did? Okay, well, they were correct to do so, because this code is wrong. I don't know what happened. I think when I made my notes, I mangled two versions together somehow. So, this was the specific part that was really wrong. If there's no acceptable input... Wow, I'm just jumping right in like everybody did this 5 minutes ago, but that's fine. So, let's go back and say what we're doing here. We're branching from one state to another, and we're looking at what the acceptable, what inputs we will accept to make this jump.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're seeing here, okay, if there aren't any acceptable inputs, that counts as a yes, which it totally shouldn't. If there are no acceptable inputs, then we're not going to accept any input. So this should obviously not be here. This in some cases, you might do something like this as a special case.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I list nothing, then that means everything's okay. But since we have a reverse flag to say, yes means no, no means yes.
Mm-hmm.
This really doesn't make sense. So we're not going to do that.
It just goes away. And
yeah, we're not going to do that. So,
okay.
All right, so we still need to check to see if you say, okay, we're on input number 15, we still have to make sure that there is an input number 15.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a thing. And then we also need to check if index 15 in fact matches
Right.
The current input. So that's fine. And whoops. So that's good. And what else? We need to, so this is all correct. And we need to increase the, I'm sorry. We can just do this up here. So we're going to consume a character.
No matter what.
No matter what. And actually a slightly, it doesn't really matter, because if there's no, if we say no, then we're going to be done right here anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But you could also say that we won't increase the input if we're already at the end.
Right.
So we won't continue to read past the end. But like I said, it kind of doesn't really matter, because by the time you get there, you already know the answer is going to be no. And I'm just going to bring up the other project.
Good luck.
Here.
Which one of the 5 is it?
It's this one.
Oh.
I just put it there. Nope, not over here. You sit over here. Okay. So.
I think you got it backwards.
I did. And it's not maxed, and that's weird. This goes here. This goes here. All right, that's what we were doing. And then this was turn off visual assist for this. And then this was, let me just find my file here. So we are right now inside of the plugin. So this is the plugin. This is not game-specific code. This is just our general state machine that we're working with. And it's SM state, which is in here. All right. And yeah, and we wrote it. No, that's all right. And what was that one line I just took? Outdated index equals
Data index plus 1.
There we go. Okay.
Yep.
Just have that up there for reference. Okay, so that's pretty good. Pretty simple.
Though, just looking at your other chunk of code there, you are not incrementing if the if statement.
Yeah, this is old.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, that's okay.
This is the new hotness over here. Gotcha.
Right, this is the good one. Yeah. All right, so we had to fix that, and then the other thing that we had to fix, I think I actually fixed this one already, but it's this. This is where it kept crashing. This isn't a C# file. This is a U project file. But I think we just sort of got thrown off by the fact that it crashed 4 times while opening C# files or whatever it was.
Right.
So.
And this was everything. Everybody was screaming at us in chat, but we don't have chat up. I now have chat up on my phone, so I am paying a little bit of attention here.
I think they were actually telling us to check this, which is what we were trying to check, but it kept crashing.
I'm pretty sure Lauren was telling us to go into the U project.
Oh, was she? Okay,
yes.
Cool. Well,
it's just we were
either way
flustered enough as it was with crashing C#. So
this is a module dependency, and this just needs to be in the U project because the U project needs it. So it's pretty straightforward, and I don't know if it just, yeah, anyway. So that was one fix, and then the thing that we just did with this
cleans
function.
it up.
Yeah, and this function is much simpler, more readable now, right? Like if this index is valid and there's actually a character here, then either, yeah, based on reverse input, you just give the destination state or nothing.
Yep.
Pretty simple. Okay. All right, so that's done. Let's bring back up our notes and go to the next part. Oh, it's over here. Okay, so we fixed that. So we had instanced branches last time, and those are pretty cool. Let's find them. They're in our state machine. Let's just find them this way. All right, so here we're creating a USM branch, or an array of USM branch objects, and those objects are specific to our. We should probably be running this. I mean, we don't need to, but just so we can look at it. So those are created within each state. So each state has 5 branches or whatever in its array. We just create those, and those are U objects that are basically owned by that state asset. So that's pretty cool, and most of the time, most of these states are kind of custom, or most of these branches are kind of custom. So it's okay to do it instanced. However, sometimes you run into stuff like, we did this on the night quest a little bit, where in every state, at any point in the quest, killing the knight or the knight becoming hostile to you ends the quest. It's the same branch every time. So we might want to have a generic, like, this is my fail all the time branch for my night quest.
Right.
And then I can include it. And then if something else comes up, you want to add something else to the condition, you can put that in the branch as well, and then it'll go to all the states, because that's the point of having a shared object.
Right.
So I just want to show that we can do that. This is I think actually a less common way of doing it, the instanced way. I think actually a more common way is the shared branches way. I mean, that's kind of the more obvious way to do it, because you don't need to know about, hey, thank you. You don't need to know about this keyword right here. So anyway, and I have a comment for this, so we'll just copy that in. Let's see how well this goes. Yeah, pretty good.
Not bad.
Okay, and I'm going to run these after instance branches. Now, the reasoning behind this, and this might differ project to project, or it might be your way of viewing it, one person's way of viewing it versus another. But I think that the instance branches are usually going to run last, so that way anything that I specifically put just on this state.
Right.
I'm sorry, I said that wrong. The shared branches will run last. The instance branches run first because I specifically put them on this state. The shared branches are going to be things that might be shared by multiple states, and that kind of makes them seem like a little bit lower priority to me. So, so there's that, and let's see. All right, so the night quest. Yeah, so if we look at mission accepted, night becomes hostile or night dies. That goes to the failed state, and please do that. And same thing, mission accomplished. Night becomes hostile or night dies, goes to the there are multiple of those. Now there are only like 3 states to this, so who cares? And actually, start technically has night becomes hostile, night dies, or you killed the dragon too early.
Yep.
So in this case, I would probably have a special instance, you killed the dragon too early, and then use the generic branch as well.
Right.
I mean, it's a small example, but you can see how if we did a, whoops, not that one. if we did like a bigger quest, that you might want this. So there's that. Now, of course, we have to use these things. So let's step over here, and
Whole bunch of new logic coming at you.
yep. It's mainly one big block of code, but
Nice job.
oh, thank you. No, I do want to be here. There we are. Okay, I don't know why it does that, but it's the run state function. So we'll just look through this before I just paste right over it. So right here, what we're doing is we're taking our instance branches, we're going through them, and then we're saying, okay, if you actually hit one, then run that one, and then we recursively just step through all of our branches.
Right.
Underneath that, like right here, we would have a second one to do exactly that same thing with our shared branches.
Okay.
So I'm going to put that in, and there is another modification that's going to be made at the same time. Let's hope this pastes right. Oh, good, that pasted really nicely. All right. So this is all pretty much the same. This block is
for your shared branches now.
Yeah, that's the new block. It has the shared branches, and basically you'll notice that I just run all the instance branches first, then all the shared branches. Really pretty straightforward stuff.
Right.
And since all these things have a return on success, there's like no extra logic or cleanup that I have to do. I just have to run another loop.
Yep.
So that's pretty straightforward. I'm not sure if I need to restart the editor because I've changed code inside the plugin. I think updated U properties might happen, but I'm not sure. I've just had sometimes that's behaved a little oddly, so I'm just gonna.
You're not gonna hot reload. You're just gonna go ahead and
Yeah,
rebuild.
yeah. Because if it doesn't actually change the code and it just changes the U properties, it will mysteriously not work.
Yeah.
So
We'll play it safe.
Yeah, that I wouldn't do that for normal code. Normal code I'd be fine with, but because it's a plugin,
Don't know.
I'm not sure. So whatever. We're probably gonna do that again anyway. So let's see. All right. So now we can step into our. So that's that upgrade. Now we can do shared branches. Yay. And then we can step back into our actual game, which is somewhere over here. Plugin development, not in plugins. Regular source. There we are.
Yep.
And quest.c. Well, quest.h. Okay. So, what I want to have happen here is when you complete a quest, I want there to be an effect, right? I want something to happen. So we're going to go to the uQuest class. And basically now the things that we're going to have happen are not going to be too game specific. They're still going to be kind of state machine oriented. But what we want to have happen is two possible things. So one, additional input atoms like night becomes hostile, killed the dragon, whatever. Additional input atoms get added to your quest log. So completing the quest can also be an action, a quest action.
Right.
And completing a quest can start another quest.
Okay.
So it can either add a quest to your list of current quests and set it to started, or it can take one that's already on there and is specifically in the not started yet state and then start it up. This way, a quest that you've already succeeded or failed that has multiple triggers doesn't get restarted somehow after you finished it because you did some other quest.
Wizards.
All right, so to do that, we're going to want some virtual functions in uQuest, I believe. Yes. Let's just put them at the bottom here. And these are public, right? Yes, we're public. Okay, so there we go. On succeeded, on failed, that's great. And we're actually going to fill these out. Like, we could just kind of do that and have them do nothing, which would be fine. But I actually want to fill these out because I want to have some debug text, really. It's really all that I want here.
So at bare minimum, we get a log spam of saying completed, started, failed, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, since we don't have any, since we're not making an actual game,
Right.
log output is what we have to know what's going on. So
Yep.
I want to do more log output today than I did before. Before we just had quest succeeded, quest failed. That was it, and then we looked at things in the details panel, which is fine, but we can do a little more. All right, so we'll just do it right down here. Oh, and I think do I have the body for these? Oh yes, I do. Convenient. All right, so let's just paste those functions in. I mean, they're so simple. There's not much to go over. I guess it's it's
2 log
interesting to note-
chunks.
Yep. This is the only thing I think is really noteworthy here. If you have an f text or an f name, you use the toString function on them, and that gets you an f string. If you have an f string, you put this asterisk on it to get it as if you had typed one of these literals.
Mm-hmm.
So for this UE log, it kind of works like a printf with the the %s here, but you don't give it just an f string. You give it an asterisk f string.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean that's just the thing that like a couple of times I stumbled over that. So I figure if someone hasn't seen this before, I should point out that asterisk is I don't know. It's easy not to notice that on the screen,
Right. And it
all
saves you from pre-building your strings or anything like that.
Yeah. So, all right. So then the question is, when do these things run?
Yes.
The obvious answer, but not really correct, is basically right here. Oh yes, and by the way, this log is no longer necessary because this log is telling us a quest is completed, but we now have
a new function.
we now have this. So yeah, there's no reason. So the obvious place to do it would be here, right? Like, okay, if we update the quest, then we say like, if this quest, I'm typing code that is wrong, but that's fine. If this equals, succeeded, then on success.
Yeah.
Else, if it equals on failure, then on fail.
Right.
Okay. But we don't do this here, and here's why we don't do this here. One of the things we wanted to be able to do when we succeed on a quest is inject another input atom.
Right.
If I do an action that completes 2 quests at the same time, and the first quest injects an input atom, the second quest will not see that input yet, because the first quest will be updated, will be notified of the completing action, then it will go here, inject another input in.
Yeah.
That input will then get read by both the first quest and the second quest. Then we'll come back out, loop around, and then the second quest will get the previous update. So
Right.
it will be injected midstream, and we don't want that.
No, that's not good.
That's super bad. So so instead we're going to do this. We're going to keep track of now we don't have to keep track of every list that completed, every quest that completed. We could just keep a bool saying did any quest complete, and then just look through and see them.
Right.
But we need to know which quests completed this time as opposed to which quests have just been sitting there completed for, for 20 hours. So, here we go. So we're going to do, and we're assured, I'm going to use an int here. You could use an array of references to f quest in progress, like this. You could do that. I am going to use an int.
Okay.
I'm just going to use the raw array index, which is an unusual thing to do, but since I know that the quest list cannot have quests removed from it in this process, can't happen. I mean, we actually don't have code to do that anywhere, other than you going in the editor and editing properties while running.
Right.
So because I know that these quests, even if you add quests, they'll just be added on top of this. So these indices will never be affected. So that's why I'm okay with just keeping track of these ints.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, normally you'd be careful and you'd use like smart pointers or reference arrays or something like that. Smart pointers to UObjects.
Yeah.
But I'm okay with this in this case just because it's so tightly controlled, and I know that you can't remove quests from the list.
Right.
But yeah, so that's the thing to really be cautious of. And I wouldn't do this at engine level code, but this is game level code, so
it works.
GPP is a little more hacky than engine programming. I shouldn't say hacky, but a little more like if it works, it's correct. You know,
Yes.
there's a lot of smoke and mirrors and duct tape it together and then kick it out the door.
Yes.
That's just how that is. Not academic. All right, so after we've updated all the quests and we've checked to see what's completed or not, then we do this. Now this only matters if 2 quests complete on the same frame, but there might be 2 quests that are completed by the same exact action, and therefore it might actually happen in a real game.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so there's it doesn't do the out of order thing like I was just saying. All right, and then we just take each quest and we go either it succeeded or it failed. Now these are, you notice I don't check to see if it failed. It's because the only other condition that can come back as true from this is fail. It has to be succeed or fail.
Right.
So if it didn't succeed, I can assume it failed.
So you're literally just going through every quest in your log, though.
No, I'm going through.
No, I see that. Recently completed quest.
Sorry, yes, thank you for pointing that out. Yeah, so I'm going through just the quests that have been recently completed and then using that as an index into the overall quest list.
Yep, okay.
Yes. And you'll also notice that I go from the top to the bottom. You don't really need to do that here, but since I like to do that in the loop, I mean, I could just wait to the bottom of the list and then just say, okay, clear it.
Yeah.
But I just wrote it this way. And also, if you actually wanted to remove anything from the quest list, if you wanted to do that, then you would definitely go top to bottom.
Right.
You know, for that reason, because your array won't be disturbed.
Exactly.
The parts of the array you still care about won't be disturbed.
Exactly.
So that's just a habit. Honestly, this could just be a dot reset put at the end or whatever. It'd be fine. Or we could even ignore it. Actually, it's a local variable. We don't even need to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a habit. Okay. All right. Now, we did say that one of the things we wanted to do was be able to start up new quests. So I would like to have that functionality available. Save that. I'd like to have that functionality available in my quest in progress class. Well, it's a struct, but I'm going to very similar to a class. So let's go to our quest in progress. Now this, wow, tabs. Doesn't matter, but for some reason, I care.
The OCD kicks in.
Yeah, it really does. All right, so I want a static function here that's going to return a new quest in progress, and it's going to be. It's funny, like I just came up with that name now, but yeah, that is what I named it because it was the same brain that I was using when I wrote it. All right, so static function that just basically creates a new quest for us. Now we could just use a constructor here and just do it like, you know, f quest in progress parentheses arguments.
Right.
That's totally fine. I just felt like using a static function in a struct just to kind of be different, just to, you know, just I don't know, maybe you haven't done this before and it's just like, oh yeah, I could totally have a static thing that just does this. I don't know. So all that we require is a const pointer to the quest that you want to start. And then, you know, we set that pointer and we assume state started. If we want to make another argument to say, do we actually want to start this or have it in like not yet started state, or
kind of like a limbo just before starting, and then something kicks off like the end of a cutscene that would actually start it.
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah, if there were anything that happened on the transition from not started to started that you needed, like you were saying, then that would be a reason to have an argument on the end saying what state should this quest be in. But in every use case here, started is the state that I want.
Exactly.
So, fine. And then we just return it. We're good. Okay. So that's good for that. But
there's more.
That's right. There is. But we don't quest. So quest status, which is our actor component that actually knows all of our quests. Well, you can't really access its quest list directly, right? That was one of the reasons why we were safe doing what we did earlier.
Right.
So its quest list is, I believe, protected. Yeah, its quest list is protected, so you can't get to it. So you need to ask it to add a quest. You don't just, you know, just like, oh, Ian, you need to change some stuff in your wallet. Let me just get in there.
Get out of my wallet, sir.
Yeah.
This is my wallet.
So right. So we need a you know, a function where it permits us to do this rather than just reaching in and doing it. So we're going to do that, and I've been making these things blueprint accessible even though we're kind of just staying with C++. Just a habit, I guess. All right. So again, the only thing we need to know is what quest it is. It's pretty straightforward. And let's do that thing we've been doing so everybody can read it. Now, the other nice thing about this is that if we just took the quest list and we just said, add a new quest in progress, here's the quest. The problem with that would be that you didn't check that quest isn't already on the list. Like, I could have completed that. I could actually already be doing the quest when you asked me to do this, and then there could be 2 of them running at the same time, and I could succeed at one and fail at the other because
or get double the experience from completing both at the same time.
Or I could complete it twice. I mean, yeah, all sorts of and actually probably most of that wouldn't happen because no, a lot of that would happen.
Yeah.
I was a lot of that would happen. I was going to think it was just going to search through and only do the first one it finds, but no, when you get a new input, it goes through every quest.
It goes through every quest.
Yeah, so it won't notice, and it'll be really weird. It'll totally weird up your whole
That night, it's going to be like, yeah, wow, you killed that dragon 3 times for me. That's
Except
awesome.
one time you did it before talking to me.
Yeah.
So no reward.
So no reward. But the other 2 times,
the other
we're
2
good.
times, double
Fine,
reward.
whatever.
Yeah. Don't do that to your game. All right, so let's go to where we're going to put that. I'm just going to put that right next to update quests. I kind of like to keep things in the same order that they are in the H file to some degree. It just makes it easier to look things up and find them, later.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not perfect, but it's nice to do. All right, I'm just grabbing this from over here. So we'll go through it, but I'm just going to avoid typos. See, and I compiled while I was going to just to see, just to make sure there were no typos.
Just to make sure.
Because all right, so we want to begin a quest. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to look through our entire quest list. And here I'm using this type of iterator. I don't do this a whole lot. Some programmers don't like this very much. Some of them really don't like that. Oh, some programmers really, really don't like that.
What, okay, wait, what now? Why don't they like the autos?
I'm not really sure, but I have gotten the answer that it's the devil before.
Oh, okay.
I have gotten that answer.
Literally the devil. Okay, sweet.
That was, I don't know.
If you compile, does like a giant pentagram show up on screen? And
I would do so many autos. I mean, that would be great.
Why are there demons pouring out of my machine?
So yeah. So we're going to go through all our quests in our current quest list and see if any of them match up. If it does match up, that still might be okay because maybe it's not started yet. So, okay, fine. If that's the case, then we can just say so. Actually, you know what? We should also log out here. If it's in any state other than not started, that means it's already started, already succeeded, already failed. I don't care which one of those it is. I'm not touching it.
Right. Isd.
And presumably and not in the correct state. Whatever.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, there's just one more little log I'll put in there. All right, so that's pretty good. And then if I didn't find it, if I got through that whole loop without finding it, then it wasn't in the list at all. So there, once again, I used that little static function I just wrote. I just make me a new one and set it up right, and there you go. So now we can just take our quest list and say add this quest or begin what did I call this? Begin quest? Yeah.
Begin quest.
Begin quest. This quest, and it will go through everything and make sure it's not doing anything invalid. This is a good general programming design in that I talk to the thing that I want to talk to. I give it the simplest, smallest amount of information, and it makes sure that everything's valid. Like everything is responsible for it. So like this uQuest status is responsible for its own quest list. If I tell it to do something, incorrect or dangerous or whatever, it recognizes on its own that that's a bad idea and doesn't do it. So that way, anyone who is using your uQuest status thing they can black box it. They don't have to know exactly how it works. They don't have to watch out for error conditions. They can just be like, here, go do this thing, and you'll come back and say, okay, did it, or nope.
Yep.
And that's it. If they want to look into why you said nope, they can learn how your code works, but otherwise they don't have to. They can just assume that that you're responsible for it and you'll handle it okay.
Right.
You won't come back with stuff on fire. So, all right, so that covers a fair amount. Now, let's see. Okay, so at the very beginning of this, we said we wanted quests that do stuff.
Yes.
This has all been set up for that. So now we can make a quest that does stuff. And the reason that setup was, as much as it was simply because, well, we just sort of assumed that we weren't going to do that. We wrote the code to do only what we needed to do.
Exactly.
So now we're writing code that extends a bit. We'll just put this at the bottom here. Wouldn't be bad to put it next to the other quest, but whatever. Okay, so let's look at what we have here. I went ahead and put the macro on it. It's fine.
Okay.
Doesn't really matter. It's just to make it look like the other ones. I did that. As you can see, we're extending uQuest, so we'll have all the same features that a regular quest will have. And uQuest, you recall, is a data asset.
Yep.
So this will also be a data asset, and it will be a uQuest. What's cool about this is that you can put a uQuest and a uQuest with result both into the quest list because they are both uQuest
They're both
types.
uQuest, yes.
So this will fit. So like we have both. We don't have to remove all our old quests and only use this. Although we only have one quest, so we're going to. I mean, whatever. We're going to rewrite that quest. All right. On succeeded and on failed are pretty much the point. And then what we're going to do, we're going to add one or more quests. So like activate, begin one or more quests if we succeed. And also add one or more inputs to the input string if we succeed. And same thing if we fail. So they're separate lists. So this is kind of cool. You can have a branching quest structure where if you fail a quest, it opens up a new quest, or if you succeed, it could do something else. Like you can go either way. You can do both. So you're supposed to, I don't know, meet. The quest could be like form an alliance with this person, and if you do, the game goes this way, and if you don't, the game goes another way. And that's it. And they're both meaningful, and they might both be intentional things that you want to happen depending on the player's choices. So we allow for both. So let's talk about what those functions are actually going to do. It's going to be pretty straightforward. The only real trick is going to be that we're going to add our quests before we add our inputs, so that the new quests that we pop up can receive the inputs that we're about to put down.
Right.
Just in case we'd want to do that, seems like something that we might want. And I'm going to copy paste those in. They're really straightforward, but we'll go over them. Well, we'll just go over one because as you can see, they're pretty much the same code. All right, we're going to run the super thing, and this is great because it's going to log that we got here, right? Because the superclass one we just overrode a second ago to do this. Right.
Yep.
Okay. Then we're going to begin all the new quests, and because we wrote that other thing with a nice design, I don't have to look at the result of this. I don't even care if that comes back true or false. Like I've said, start the quest. Either it started or it's already failed or whatever. I don't care. Just do it.
Yep.
And then we go through and we inject all those things. However, fortunately, we're injecting all of these definitely at the end, not in the middle of any of the strings. So we're not going to get any weird out of order issues because we wrote that earlier function the correct way, or a correct way. Okay, that was super thrilling, and now we're done with writing code. I hope I didn't go over that too fast. I kind of just went through it, but
well, everything will be made available, and
yeah,
it'll
be made available.
I'll try to whip you to answer any questions on the forums.
Yep, chat questions can come up. Like if there's anything you want to see me go over in a little more detail, or anything I just sort of like breezed over, yeah, just ask and we'll do that. All right, so
need a quest.
Yes, we do. All right, so we got the old version of the night quest. So we're gonna make a new one, and I'm just gonna temporarily. I'm just gonna temporarily do that.
Rename it old.
Yep. And now we're gonna create a quest with result. All right, and there's the night quest. All right, so the So it's still going to start in the same place. I mean, it's still basically the same quest.
Yep.
And the input list is going to be the same. Actually, here's something neat you can do. Just a little editor thing. So suppose there were like 40 of these, and I just felt like the chance of me messing this up is way too high, plus I don't want to do this 40 times.
Oh, there's a copy function.
Yeah, there's a copy function right there. So...
Blip.
Now,
Done.
I can't combine two lists like that, but I can just straight copy one list over to
Right.
another. I mean, it's a pretty good feature, though. I mean, I just did that in a second. Okay. Oh, right. And the whole point of this was that we would have... So let's look at our input atoms. All right. We're going to keep all of these. These are still all going to be useful.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we're going to need a little bit more. So the knight at the end of our quest is going to give us a... where are we? Magic weapon. Where am I? Oh, okay. There's miscellaneous. I just couldn't read it for a second. All right. So this is going to be another input atom. And so the knight here is going to give us our magic weapon. I'm going to call this magic weapon. We're going to call this got magic weapon.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that's not trademarked. All right, which lets our sword do something it couldn't do before.
That's right.
An unspecified thing.
An unspecified magical effect.
Possibly a costume change. All right. So that's pretty cool. Now let's go back to our night quest, which we still have open here. We don't need the old one open. And on success, we're going to add an input into the stream, which is going to be got magic weapon. Now, got magic weapon isn't in the input list because it doesn't need to be. The Knight's Quest, 1, it'll never happen because the Knight's Quest will be over by the time you get this. And 2, the Knight's Quest doesn't care about this. It's just something that it gives you at the end. It's not part of the quest. So it's okay that it's not in the input list.
Right.
All right. Now, assuming that doesn't work because you fail the Knight Quest, I kind of want to make the magic weapon a requirement to finish the game. So we'll make another quest. And once again, there it is. Okay, so this will be another quest that has a result. We're pretty much going to use quest with result pretty much all the way through because it just has extra stuff. It's not missing anything, so. So the other quest is going to be steal it. Did I spell that right? I hope I did.
Steal it quest.
Yes, steal it quest. Okay. So you're going to have to steal the thing because the knight didn't give it to you.
Oh, so the knight is dead, or you pre-killed the dragon, or you somehow angered the knight.
Yep. You did something such that he's not just going to hand this to you. So now you have to steal it. All right. Now this we're going to make... well, we've already created the quest. We'll go into filling it out with data a little bit later. But for right now, we'll just say failure quest. Steal it. Okay. So we have an input that you get on success and a quest that you get on failure.
Yep.
People were asking for slightly more complicated quest trees.
A little bit.
So this is where we're going. All right, so that's pretty good, and I think we can now delete the old King's Quest, and the default pawn was using it, so...
yeah, because you're doing a bunch of checking with it.
Yep, and that's totally fine. So we just go back to the default pawn, and quest status. Where are we here? Oh, yeah, here it is. The new Knight's Quest shows up. And it has already started. That says started? Yes, good. All right. So that's fine. Whoops. This level. Okay, well that's pretty much it for the mods for the Knight's Quest. So let's go to the stealing the weapon. All right, it's a uQuest with result. So we're going to need another... good, I still have the pawn open. We're going to need another input atom. And this one is going to be an input atom. So it's just a special activity for...
Scale the tower.
yes, scale the tower to
Now
get
there's
in
a tower.
and steal the thing. Well, the knight lives in the castle. So
Oh, okay.
Presumably,
Presumably.
it's in a tower somewhere. All right, so... all right.
Scale the armory tower.
There you go. So that's in there. We just need to make up a special action for this one quest. That special action gets on the input list. It's the only thing that this quest cares about. You can never fail this quest because then you would be locked out of completing the game. You can just not complete it yet.
Right.
We don't have a starting state for it yet, but we do know that when we succeed, you get the magic weapon. There we go. I will just call this the sword. Okay, so let's go into the Steal It quest, and we're going to need a starting state for this. State. There you go. Steal It quest. Start. And this is going to be a super short quest.
Yeah, it's all of a stage, right?
Yeah, it's one stage. So the destination state is success, and that is in the case of scale the tower. No shared branches, nothing. Oh yes, we were going to do one other thing though. Let's go back just a second. I forgot that one thing we were going to do with the Knight's Quest was we were going to show instance branches here.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just do that. I talked about it earlier, but let's actually do it. All right, we're going to make a branch, and Knight Quest branch fail. And this will take us to the generic failure state, and it will do it anytime either the knight becomes hostile or the knight dies.
Okay.
And then in our states, oh, this is a success state.
Yeah, this is mission accepted.
This is the failure state. It's the one up here. Okay. So this state we don't need. And instead, we can just do that. So
No, it's already set up, ready to rock.
yeah, this kind of, it reduces user error too, because I don't have to retype in the
Right.
same failure conditions to 15 different states if I have a long quest. Same thing here. We would add that here, and this won't harm anything. This failure state still being up here, it won't harm anything, but
It's no longer
it's
necessary.
just clutter at this point. And if we decide that there's a way to make the knight unhostile later, and we don't want to outright fail the quest,
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now this is the special one because this one has the extra thing. Still not really that much of a problem though. We add our generic fail branch, and then we simply remove these two failure conditions. This is still an instance branch because it's still specifically this state that input can fail, but in other states this input would not fail.
Exactly.
So that's a really good that's a really good argument, a really good use case for an instance branch. It's just this one, but everybody cares about this. Okay, so that cleans up the Knight's Quest pretty well. And the Steal It quest has that. Now we have a starting state for it.
For the sword quest.
Yes, the sword, which was a good mission if anyone knows what game that's from. You do steal a sword. No? It's an old game. It's a stealth game from the late 90s.
A stealth game from the late
We'll
90s.
leave that as a hint. I don't know. Maybe the chat will probably figure this out in 3 seconds. You could probably Google the mission name and be done. Yeah, that is correct.
Oh, that's right, because
Yeah.
what's his face?
Yeah,
Who ends up-
Constantine.
Yeah, who ends up being the trickster god.
Spoilers.
Oh, my bad.
It's only 18
Wait,
years
wait, wait.
ago.
There's a time cutoff for spoilers.
Is it 18 years?
It's probably like 18
Is it when
years.
people born at that time are adults
Yes.
and have to subject themselves to presidential debates? All right, so let's see. We're here. Night quest, steal it quest. All right. So that's pretty cool. As you see, that's a pretty short, simple quest. All right, so we have a wizard in the game.
We now have a wizard.
Well, we had him before because we
Oh, that's right. That's right.
We had an irrelevant input action where you could talk to him. We've decided that his name is Alan Wizard
Alan Wizard
with 2 Z's.
with 2 Z's. All right. Are they like is it multicolored and
It could be.
70s font kind of deal?
Is that the kind? Would that be appropriate for Alan?
Well, I'm just saying with 2 Z's.
Oh yeah, I can see it. All right, so we're making a new quest. Does this quest have a result? Yes, it does. And this is wizard quest. There we go. And what inputs do we have? All right. So as it happens, the wizard also has an interest in you killing the dragon because this dragon is an enormous pain for everybody. So, unlike the knight, the wizard just wants you to kill the dragon and is happy enough. You don't have to
Right.
talk to him first. If you just come to him
Like,
afterward.
dude, I heard you killed the dragon. That's pretty awesome.
Good job. Let me share some magic with you.
Yep.
All right. So, let me see. So we're gonna need a new input atom for him, and that. All right. Oh, and actually, I changed it so you don't have to kill the dragon. Never mind. Doesn't matter. Boop, boop, boop. So at some point. Oh no, that's fine. We can do that. Right. No, it should be got. Put it in past tense. All right, so he's gonna give you a magical green cat for no reason.
He's just going to give you a magical green
He's gonna
cat.
give you a magical green cat that might have some additional powers. Yes. That's what he's going to do.
It took me a second. It honestly took me a second.
Yep.
I apologize.
It's like a pet that can become a mount, sort of.
Yeah, right?
Right, one of those. All right, so on success, he will give you the green cat. Pretty straightforward. And again, we're going to make the quest simple just because I don't want to spend all day just making quests for a game that doesn't exist.
I don't know. This might have to exist now.
I mean, there might be... We might need to work around some licensing issues, but I'm pretty sure that nobody's made this, at least recently. So let's see. Miscellaneous data asset. So we're going to need a state. And as usual, I really like naming my start states like this because then I can find them in the list easily enough to be like, what was the actual flavor description of the starting of this quest?
Right,
No, it's just Wizard
start.
Quest start. Yeah. And what do we need? So we're going to need to kill the dragon and talk to the wizard. Okay. So kill the dragon and then talk to the wizard. The
Right.
order matters. And we'll get into something in a moment where the order doesn't matter and how State Machine can deal with that. Just for people who are new to state machines, I think that'll be helpful to see. So the other state is going to be WQ killed dragon. All right. So Wizard Quest start. Oh, did I? Yes, I did give it input atoms. Good. Okay. So there's going to be a branch over to... Where's this branch going to go? It's going to go to that the dragon is killed. There it is. And it's going to go in the case that your input is that we kill the dragon. And remember, we have this loop by default thing that is just always on. So anytime it hits an input that doesn't match anything in the list, it just eats that input and goes to the next one and just repeats the current stage. So that's saving us a lot of just making boring like self-looping connections
Right.
that are implicitly there in the mathematical, computer science theory model of the state machine, but that we don't feel like making and wasting like memory and disk space and processing time.
Right.
Just a catch-all loop. I'm really glad that I put this bool here because you can see how much a pain this would be.
Yep.
If every state I had to do this. All right, so there you go. That's pretty straightforward. And once you've killed the dragon, all you have to do is talk to the wizard again. So we'll make a branch for that. Whoops, expand that.
Does shift clicking on those work?
On what?
Go ahead and set your state. Now collapse everything. So collapse the branch.
Like, oh, just individually?
And then that, and now shift click the 0. Or the arrow on the 0. It does work.
Oh, neat.
Yeah. So you can...
Well, that's cool.
It auto expands all the little triangle things that are under there.
That's nice. I didn't know that.
I don't know what those things are.
Yeah, I'm going to start doing that more. That's pretty nice. Okay, right. The destination state, I clicked the wrong thing there. Goes to success, and it's in the event that you have also talked to the wizard after killing the dragon.
Right.
Okay. So that's good. I think that might wrap up the wizard quest, and then we're getting really close to the end / something interesting. Oh, yeah, I thought I might have missed something. Okay, that's why we check. So wizard quest start. Okay, pretty good. Can't fail this quest, so we're pretty much done with that. Okay, so now we've created a couple of different quests, and the reason that last quest probably seemed kind of redundant in light of the knight's quest being the same thing but more complicated. But the point of that was to have gating. So in a lot of games, you have to collect all the magic crystals before you can whatever. And in some games, you're just physically gated from going somewhere. But in other games, like let's say Legend of Zelda, you can walk into that 9th dungeon any time. But if you don't have the 8 Triforce pieces,
you're gonna have
the second room in the dungeon is just gonna be locked, and you physically can't pass, and that's it. So, period. The end. You need that thing. Come back when you have it. So let's do that. We're gonna have a gating quest. You have to have completed these other quests in order to proceed through the gated quest. All right. So we're just gonna call this gate quest. Whoops! I keep clicking media like every time. All right. I don't think this actually even needs a result. No, it does. It does. All right. So gate quest. So the point of gate quest is going to be that we're going to have another quest called final quest. And this can just be a regular quest because I don't care. We're not going anywhere past that. Final quest. All right. Also called Dragon Fantasy, I suppose, if you wanted to do that. So let's see. On success, we will open up the final quest of our game. All right, and this. Are you okay?
You're breaking me, man.
So this quest isn't actually going to be a thing that you do. This quest is just going to sort of be passively completed by you finishing other quests.
Okay.
That's kind of the idea of this. It just sits in the background. It just goes, oh, the player has done this whole shopping list of things. Now I can open up this other thing. But it's not really a quest in itself.
Right.
So we're just going to call this like gating quest. That's fine. Now the input list. Okay, so what are we gated on? Well, we're going to need the cat and the weapon, right? You need to be in your full powered up form before it'll let you go complete the last, the last task. All right. Which is obviously defeating Skeleton Man. He's like a regular man on the outside, but on the inside, he's a skeleton.
But on the inside, okay, gotcha.
He's amazing. Yeah.
Isn't that everybody?
No. All right, so let me see. Let's see. All right, so that's going to be pretty simple. So did we create a directory for that yet? No, we didn't. Let's do that.
I think you
Gag quest. That might not be the modern English spelling of that word. All right. Let's try this again. So we need. All right. So this quest has 2 requirements, right? The magic sword and the cat.
Mm-hmm.
But that wizard quest just required that you kill the dragon. So like you could have killed the dragon and talked to the wizard and gotten the cat first, or you could have gone through the whole knight's quest and then talked to the wizard and thus gotten the cat second. So we can't just go, do you have the weapon? Yes. Do you have the cat? Yes. Okay, complete. Because if you got the cat and then the weapon rather than the weapon and then the cat, that state machine won't follow through. So we're going to build it up a little bit. Gate quest start. Just stick into form here. And what we're going to do is we're going to have a branch here. We're actually going to have 2 branches here. And so the first branch, well, let's actually create the destination states and then we'll go to them. All right. So this is have weapon, and then make another one, have cat. All right, so, whoops, it's this one. Okay, so to get to the have weapon state, you need to have the weapon, surprisingly. And then shift click, I do like that. That's nice.
A little handy, isn't it?
Huh?
It's a little handy, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. All right, now to get to the have cat state, you have to have the cat. It's not too complicated here.
Nope, pretty easy.
Now, if you've gotten to the have weapon state, then you can go to the success state. Oh, whoops, that was caps lock. That doesn't work as well. You can go straight to the success state if you also have the cat. Weapon, then cat, success.
Okay.
So kind of the same thing over here. If you've gotten to the cat state, then you can go to the success state if you also have the weapon. Success state in the event that you have the weapon. So
Okay.
Cat, weapon, yes. Weapon, cat, yes. Okay, now they're order independent. Wasn't too hard. State machines, now there is another way we could have done this. We're not going to do it here, but we might do this in our next week's, or 2 weeks or whatever, yeah, in our next one of these. Another thing we could have done is we could have had a branch that can consume multiple inputs, right? We could have overridden the branch type to say, all right, read through, and what I want to know is, do you see these 2 things anywhere in there?
Mm-hmm.
And then that branch could read any number of inputs, could return a number greater than 1 if it eats a bunch of inputs, right? And then that branch could say, okay, well, I ate 5 inputs, but I did find that there was a cat in there and a weapon in there, and maybe you did some other stuff in the middle. And then that way we could do this with basically one state. Just the start state, the branch with the 2 things, the custom branch class, and then it goes on. So that's a way that we could have done this. Just didn't choose to this time. I mean, kind of for time reasons and kind of because we can always do it in a later stream. I mean, we're an hour in, so I didn't feel like writing additional C++ code in this stream. I think we did enough. And that, by the way, could be a state that you put in the plugin if you think this is like a general function that you're going to need, or you could just do it in your game. Like, because that class is exposed, you can just override it in your game, and it's fine. So, okay.
So our gate quest appears to be complete.
Yes, I don't remember if we hooked up the start. No, we didn't hook up the start yet. But that should be pretty good. We got a lot of these open. Okay. I hope these quests work.
Gotta find out.
Because if they don't work, we'll do them at the very beginning of next time because it'll just be a data error. The code works. I may have messed up the data since I'm just sort of making the data now. All right, and I don't know. We don't really need to. I don't know if we even really need a result for. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, as long as this quest starts, we're good. I mean, yeah, like we've gotten there. We should probably have a state for it though, because I don't know. I don't think I've checked what happens with this code.
If you don't.
If you give it, there's probably
a blank quest.
There's probably a check in there, but it might actually be a check like an assert. In which case, we've told it to crash, so I don't feel like doing that. Oh wait, I need to create a directory first. All right. Miscellaneous data asset, and it's a state. Final quest start, just whatever. And that should always go to fail because, of course, the series ends if you ever actually defeat Skeleton Man. So you can't really do that. Wizard quest, final quest.
Actually, the states of this would be like if you killed him, you failed.
Yeah.
Right?
You need to defeat him and sort of drive him off.
Defeat him, but he needs to be driven off, but still alive.
Yeah, don't kill. In fact, don't kill anybody.
Yeah. That's not how any of this works.
It's not. Yeah. We just antagonize them. We shoot lasers at their trucks and then they sort of back off, or we swing swords at them and they just sort of.
We lock them up in Arkham Asylum and they break out later.
Right. Right. There's a pattern to these things, and it does not involve you murdering people. Okay. So now what we can do that's kind of neat here. Oh, that's a good question, and we will get to that one. All right. So here's the thing, though. The gate quest is not in use yet. Now we could just straight go in here and say add a quest, gate quest. We're done. That wouldn't use all the features that we're trying. I mean, that's fine, but actually, you know what? Let's do this. Let's add it, but have it be in the not started state.
Okay.
Just because we can. Quest list. Gate quest. Oh, yeah, wizard quest should be started. That's got to be running.
Yeah, because we don't have a system in place for discoverability of quests.
Well, we do, but it's other quests.
But it's other quests.
Yeah.
So if we need to have a quest given to us to start, it'd be like us walking down the road and hearing the wizard grumbling to himself about murdering a dragon.
Yes. Or actually, in this one, since we don't have to talk to the wizard first, this one might really just start from the beginning of the game. Like, you might not realize that the quest has started.
It started but hidden.
But yeah, you go talk to the wizard, and he's like, "Oh, good job. You completed a quest. Oh, I didn't realize I completed a quest, but okay."
Money? No, have a cat.
Yeah.
Oh.
From a game design perspective, what you would probably do is make it really likely that the player would encounter the wizard first.
Mm-hmm.
Or overhear that there's a wizard who wants this dragon gone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it's possible for players to skip it, and that's fine. I mean, you might consider that a sequence break, or you might consider it just they missed some optional content.
They were speedrunning.
Yeah, speedrunning, right, yeah. All right, and we'll put the... we'll put Final Quest in here, but it'll be in not started state.
Does Final Quest need to go in there, or does Gate Quest need to go in there? Gate Quest never starts.
Either one.
Because Gate Quest will start Final Quest.
Right, yes. So what I was going to do was say that that any of the quests that add any of the atoms that Gate Quest cares about will also start Gate Quest. Now, that gives you the possibility to miss it because there are 3 different quests that do this. So it would be safer to put it in there, but just to demonstrate what the system can do.
Okay.
Because this also means that we're going to hit multiple times that we try to start the same quest. The first time it'll add it, the second time and third time it won't. Or no, the second time, well, there's no way to get it 3 times. But yeah, the first time it'll add it and start it. The second time it'll look and go, oh no, you've already started this quest.
Right.
You're fine. So now, getting the magic weapon right here starts the gate quest. Now, we could also say that just activating the steel quest, we could just say, and also the gate quest here. Like that would also be fine. So that's one. The stealing quest You get the magic weapon. Okay, great. You also start the gate quest.
There it is.
And then finally, the wizard quest. You get the green cat. That also starts the gate quest. So there you go. So now, as soon as you've done anything that would affect the gate quest, it suddenly appears.
Gotcha.
All right, and let's just think what other inputs we need. So here's our default pawn. So we need scaling the tower. I think that's the only one we actually need that's a player action, because getting the cat and getting the magic weapon, that's done by the quest.
Yeah, because now you have Talk to Wizard actually having an action.
Yep.
So I think you're right.
Yeah, I think we only need stealing the thing.
And we can always examine it under the details panel.
Yes. I'm kind of hoping this works in one try, but if it doesn't, there are plenty of tools at our disposal. There's a debug log. There's all sorts of stuff.
Clear that log.
Yeah. There's all sorts of stuff going on. Do we think we're ready?
Let's hit the play button.
I don't know what else we can do.
Cross your fingers.
All right. So first thing we want to do is just have a look at our... Where are you, buddy? There you are. Okay.
So we have our night quest. It is started. Our wizard quest. It is started. And our final quest has not been started.
Okay, so we will kill the dragon immediately. Knight's quest immediately fails.
Adding quest the sword.
All right, that's good. So, so we now have 4 elements in our quest list because Steal It quest, aka the sword, is there and is started. Final quest is still not started.
What were the other keys?
Should we? Well, 6 is for stealing the sword. I remember that 414 completes the night quest. So 4 is talk to knight. I think 5 is talk to wizard. Because these were alphabetical the first time.
Okay.
So what do you want to do? We've killed the dragon. We can talk to the wizard or steal the sword. Choose your own adventure. If I could see the chat.
Currently, I don't believe... Well, they're 20 seconds behind.
Oh, they're 20... Oh, that's a long time.
So, I mean, we'll have to...
I mean, it's like Twitch plays a game that doesn't really exist. It's amazing.
Twitch plays a game that doesn't really exist.
All right, so I don't know. What do you think?
Well, we've already killed the dragon.
Yep.
What happens if we talk to the knight? Nothing happens if we talk to the knight.
Nothing. He'll just
like,
be
hi,
like, hey, heard you killed dragon. Good job.
Good job. Good job, guys. Enraging him won't matter.
Nope. He's pretty much irrelevant to the plot now.
He's not going to die. So we literally can just talk to the wizard or steal the sword.
Yeah, all right.
So let's talk to the wizard.
Okay. I think that was 5.
You didn't click into the window.
Oh, I'm not even in the game. 5. All right. So, quest featuring Alan Wizard has succeeded. All right, that's great. Now we also have gating quest. So gating quest is in our list now.
Yep.
And it is in started state. Note that final quest is still in not started state. Okay, so now we got to steal that sword.
Yep. Click into the viewport. Sorry,
yep,
I'm
just like last time. I still have to. Yeah, computers work the same way every time, as it happens. So 6. All right. So the gating quest, as you can see, okay. So
already on list.
So yeah, here's where it's kind of cool, right? The sword succeeds. The gating quest I just tried to add because I completed the sword, but it was already in the list, so it didn't mess it up or anything. Mm-hmm. It's just return false from that function, and I don't care.
Yep.
Then the gating quest succeeded because, and this is why we add the quest before we add the input, because the input that I stole the sword that I just did. Mm-hmm. The input that I stole the sword. Well, no, it's not that one. It's the cat. It's right. Because when I first activated the quest, I activated it, then reported that I got the cat, instead of reporting that I got the cat and then activating it.
Right.
Because then it wouldn't know that I got the cat.
All right.
I would have to get another cat, and as you know, there aren't
infinite large green cats.
Yeah, that have unspecified powers. Okay, and then since the gating quest instantly succeeded at the end of the sword, because that was the second condition,
you now have all your powers to defeat the skeleton man.
Yeah, so now defeat skeleton man, and you can see that has in fact changed. Final quest right here has changed to started status.
All right, well, let's stop and hit play again.
All right.
And
because we got that correct and we look smart right now, so what we're going to do is hit play again and hope that it doesn't work.
414.
414. Let's do that. So that's the normal.
Wait, no.
That's the normal completion of the. It's talk to knight, kill dragon, talk to knight.
Right. How about talk to wizard?
All right, let's talk to the wizard. That is 5. Okay, so we talk. Oh, and actually, let's have that display up so we can see that we actually did that. So we look at our quest activities. Well, it doesn't. We didn't put We didn't put debug text on every one of those. We could have just put debug text outputs right here, or we could have just put it in the update quest code. But we didn't. Just on adding an input. We only do it when the input actually does something.
Right.
Which I don't know.
So he doesn't have anything.
Right.
Wait, wasn't? No,
However,
hold on. Wait. He was supposed to start.
His quest has already started.
His quest has already started.
But nothing happens of interest until you kill the dragon and then talk to him.
Right. He doesn't ask you to kill the dragon.
Yeah. So this is as expected. Talk to wizard appears here. And I guess as you can see, if we go through the night quest does not care about the wizard, so that doesn't appear there. Mm-hmm. The wizard quest does care about when you talk to the wizard. It doesn't do anything. But it took note of that fact. And of course, final quest, A doesn't care and B isn't started.
Right.
So
he's a very stoic wizard. He doesn't really care to ask you for your help.
Tower. I mean, he doesn't need to ask.
What are you doing in my house? Probably is what he said. All right. So we have that. So let's go talk to the knight.
Okay. So let's talk to the knight, which is 4. Okay. So talking to the knight. Yep. Talk to wizard, then talk to knight. That's in our overall quest activities. The knight's quest is affected by that. The knight's quest cares about that. Mm-hmm. The wizard's quest does not care about that, so it's not here. And the final quest hasn't started, so it doesn't care.
But now we can successfully kill the dragon.
Now we kill the dragon. There we go. This time I remembered. Okay, so that's in the list. Great. Again, the knight and the wizard both care about this. So knight's quest now has 2 elements. Wizard's quest has 2 elements. Final quest still hasn't started.
Right.
Okay.
Now we can
talk to either one of them at this point. As long as we don't anger the knight, we don't have to go steal the sword.
Okay, talk to the wizard.
All right,
he's closer.
Wizard. He's on 5.
Yeah, and there we
go.
Quest featuring Alan Wizard is completed.
Gating quest starts, and gating quest gets...
It's one item of get the green cat.
Green cat.
Okay, and now we can go talk to the knight.
All right. Talk to the knight. Gives us the sword. Gating quest is already in the list. Gating quest is complete. Skeleton man is up.
Nailed it.
Done.
First try.
Video games. Yeah, I'm glad that worked. Because it doesn't always, and it's an unrealistic view of game programming to be like, oh, I'll just type in this code and then make some data and then ta-da. Don't expect that.
Perhaps a little behind the curtain thing here. Rich has been working on this all week.
Oh yeah. Well, a couple days. Yeah.
A couple days, but there's been some definite testing going on behind the scenes.
Yeah. Although honestly, I don't know if I ever ran through the full quest, start to finish. And also, I improv some of this.
I noticed.
Some of what's over here isn't what's over here. So
exactly.
Kind of. But, I mean, the code works. So as long as I don't make a mistake in the data, I'm pretty sure it's going to work.
And looks like you didn't make any mistakes.
And it did. But yeah, I mean, just results not typical. All right. So let's see. Okay, so we had this question over here. I presume we can simply replicate this to all party members to share quests.
Multiplayer.
So yeah, if you're doing multiplayer, all right. So it depends on what kind of multiplayer. So if you're doing a multiplayer game like, I'm going to say Gears of War. I know it's not this genre, but basically where everyone is in the game at the same time, they're all on the same mission always, right? There's never a point where Dom is on level 1 and Marcus is on level 3. That never happens. An example would be like an MMO, like World of Warcraft, where we can both be in Ironforge, but is that a city in World?
That is a city.
That is the capital city with the auction house.
That is
okay.
It is what Ironforge is Dwarven.
Yeah, it's the big capital city. Right. I just want to make sure that was a proper name. So yes, we're all in Ironforge, but I've done a bunch of things, and you're just first getting here. We can be in the same place and not have the same quest status. So if you're doing a game like Gears of War, pretty simple. You just replicate that. I would replicate it on probably something like Game Instance. So it's just global, and then whenever you load or save a game, you just change the Game Instance idea of what your status is, quest-wise, based on where you are in the game. So that would be pretty simple. If you're doing a game like a multiplayer game, like an MMO, where the players are not necessarily in sync with each other with regard to quest progress, then you would probably put this on the... By the way, this should be on the player controller anyway. We just put it on the pawn here because it was just quick and easy, and it works the same no matter where you put it.
Yes.
So yeah, so instead of making this an actor component that goes on a pawn or a player controller, if you were doing this on the game instance, you would just make it part of your game instance, or make it just like a custom object or whatever. It doesn't matter. I'd probably just make it a part of the game instance class, really. If you were doing this in multiplayer where players can be at different points in the quest, I would use the player controller.
Yes.
Because that way, if your player dies and respawns, if you have anything like that, the player controller is kept. You can keep the player controller when streaming, crossing like one level to another, like you're going into a new zone. You can keep your player controller. You don't have to keep your pawn. You can just get a new pawn in the new zone. And like I said, death and respawn where you might want a new pawn, like any of those kind of things. You can just keep the same player controller. So player controller is good for that.
And to answer
just...
some of the spirit of this question, because actually we run into this all the time, like a bunch of friends that we game a lot of MMOs with. There are certain times where MMO quests will update or not update, depending on if somebody in your group does something. For example, if somebody in your group kills something, does everybody get an update? Or does everybody get an update if only one person picks up something off the ground for collection quests, things along those lines?
Oh.
Specifically, the state machine handles those perfectly fine. It's about whether or not you decide to replicate that information to them. So Richard has picked up a seashell. Do I get an update for that?
Yeah.
Well, that's up to you to decide whether or not that quest is worthy of that. So you could arguably see either code down in the quest system that says, is this a thing that everybody gets, or is this an individual thing?
Yeah. I mean, I guess we sort of short-circuited that here because it's just like, if I push the button, the thing happens.
Yeah.
But there should be a game event that does this and then goes through, like you're saying, whether or not you call an RPC on another client, or whether or not you, I mean, I don't even know if it's a thing. Like, could you have started a quest and made partial progress and then I join you on the quest? Like, if your game supports that, I'm sure most MMOs don't, but if your game were to support something like that, you would have to send me the backlog of the events that this quest has logged and go, hey, just to get you up to speed, here's the input set for the talk to wizard quest. We've done this and this and this so far. And
most MMOs you're not going to do that with because the goal is to keep somebody engaged.
Right, you're right.
Over the long term.
Yeah, I mean, you generally wouldn't do that in an MMO, but maybe if I joined more like the Gears format, like if I joined a mission-based game and you were partway through a mission and I just had like drop-in co-op or whatever, then you need to tell me that stuff.
Maybe a good example of that is, what was the Cops and Robbers game? That's still kind of big right now. Oh,
the
Lord.
David Jaffe one?
I can't. The one where you play it's a 4-player game. You rob banks.
Unless it's GTA.
No.
Oh, Payday. Payday 2? Payday 2 came out. Yeah,
Payday 2. That could be an instance where if you had like a drop-in, where you're like, okay, well, we've cased the place. We've tied everybody up, and no alarms have gone off, and so now we're drilling the vault. Like, if somebody were to drop into that, you'd be like, okay, here's where you are now, because we need you to know that's your progress.
Yeah.
And please, please, please don't let the civilians outside see you with a gun, right? Like, oh, you did, great, screwed everything up, raids inbound.
Yep.
So that would be a situation where that idea of passing all of your quest information on would be useful.
Okay, so so there are a couple ways to do it. I think we kind of covered the major things there.
Yep.
And it's sort of based on what your specific game is about. Unless there's anything more, we're at
kind of done.
Yeah, we're at a reasonably good stopping point for today.
Yeah. So in 2 weeks,
yes,
we'll be back.
Yeah, I want to talk about fighting game input, like Street Fighter or Tekken type of things where you do long strings of input. Of course, clearly someone has solved this problem in that those two games are made in UE4. So... So obviously this is a solved problem over at Capcom and Capcom and Bandai Namco. But Bamco, do we call them that?
No.
I've heard them called that.
No.
Bandai Namco and Capcom have clearly solved this problem, but not everyone knows how to do it. And reading input for fighting games can be tricky. The way that I'm going to do it might not be the way that they did it. I don't know, but it's a way that'll work and be reasonably lightweight. So.
And next Tuesday it'll be me and Alexander on. We're digging up some AI stuff to talk about, and we'll see we'll see where that goes. No promises, but we have been talking on the Discord chat, trying to figure out some fun stuff to talk about. So anyway, we'll see you all next week.
All right.